Happening later today, we are expecting to learn the fate of a New Britain public school teacher who was placed on leave after she refused to take down a crucifix in her classroom.
Your reporter Marcy Jones is live in New Britain this morning explaining the controversy and all the attention surrounding this story.
That's right. Good morning. While the attorney for the teacher says her choice to display her crucifix is protected under the First Amendment, the school district is arguing that it is violating state and federal laws. Marisol Arroyo-Castro has taught in Connecticut public schools for more than 3 decades, and for the last 10 years, a crucifix has hung by her desk. That is until early December, when she was placed on paid leave after the school's administration asked her to remove the cross from students' sight, claiming it violated federal and state laws, which require public schools to remain neutral on religious matters. New Britain's superintendent released a statement on the matter, saying in part, quote, "We will not allow any teacher to use their position of authority to impose their personal religious beliefs or infringe on the civil rights of our students." Castro's lawyer says if they don't reinstate her, they'll take this to court.
The whole neutral thing about religion, that's exactly what they're not doing though, right? Because they're kind of targeting her crucifix and they're not targeting anyone else's personal expressions. I mean, that's not neutrality, to religion, it's hostility.
The New Britain School Committee will be meeting today. They're expected to make the decision whether or not they're going to terminate Castro. Your reporter in New Britain, Marcy Jones, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.